My name is Silas, and my friends and colleagues know two very important things about me. I'm a conductor, and I love coffee, especially espresso. No matter where I travel in the world, the first thing I try to do is find the best coffee shop and learn about the local coffee drinking habits. If I can, I try to meet up with old friends or make new ones in a coffee shop, of course, so we can talk about life, art, music, or whatever's on our minds. I found that there's no better way to get to know a conductor a little better than by having coffee with the maestro. Today I'm having coffee with Diane Wittry. She's the music director of the Allentown Symphony in Pennsylvania and the Garden State Philharmonic in New Jersey. She's also written two books you might know of, Beyond the Baton and Baton Basics. Diane is one of the nicest, warmest conductors I've ever met, and she's just wonderful company over a cup of coffee. So I think I'm going to give her a call now. Hi, Diane. How's it going?
It's going great. Going
Thanks
really
for,
well.
thanks for having coffee with me today. It's so nice to see your face.
And I've got my coffee right here.
I see you got your Allentown Symphony coffee even. I'm drinking my typical is espresso, and my favorite cup, I don't know if you can see it, is it's sort of Parisian. Uh, there's the Chat Noir, for example.
Looks
And,
great. Looks great.
I think I got this espresso cup in Paris as a souvenir, but I'm pretty sure it was made in China or Jersey. I don't know.
Yeah.
What have
Ours
you
was
been up to?
probably made at Vistaprint.
Could be, yeah, right. Vistaprint. Every conductor knows Vistaprint, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Do you have a cup for every orchestra you've music directed or currently music direct?
Almost, actually. Yeah. Because usually at some point, there's some sort of fundraiser or something where you need cups, and
Yeah.
cups and shirts are good.
Well, I guess I don't know anything about marketing or branding. I should know more, but I think they keep whatever organization you're trying to brand, it keeps it on people's minds. They have to see it every time they open the cupboard.
Yeah.
I don't know if it leads to ticket sales, but whatever. We're doing everything we can.
Yeah, well, I think right now, we're in the middle of the COVID time period, which will go down in history. And what's top of mind is everybody is we don't want our audience members, our donors, our supporters to forget us. So, I mean, literally, we are currently looking for every single way we can stay front of mind
Yeah.
with what we call our people.
I'm curious what you think, because nobody knows, but I'm curious what you think is going to happen in the coming months, and then when things get back to normal. Because I'll tell you what I think. I think right now obviously a terrible time, and I think that organizations are having a hard time connecting with their audiences and donors because everyone's got other stuff on the mind. But when things get back to normal, I think the audience is going to come back gangbusters. I think donors are going to come back gangbusters. I think we're going to have like a kind of a resurgence in a big way, and with new ideas that we developed over the break, if we can survive until the donors come back.
Yeah, and I think many of us are already putting out plans of concerts with reduced members on the stage, with reduced people in the audience, but multiple performances, shorter concerts. I'm loving the creativity that's happening right now. I find it really stimulating. And I think the sooner we sort of begin to put new plans in place, the more excited people will be about coming back. But we have to face the fact that our audience is older, and many of them will not be comfortable. And so I'm very excited about us looking into live streaming opportunities and other ways to get the music to the people. So I do find it an exciting time, but it's a scary time. In Allentown, we own our own concert hall. And so it's not just about what we're putting on the stage and making sure musicians are safe, but it's how do you really get an entire audience into a building safely? We can't put them in the elevator. Can they go up the stairs? Do you have multiple ways of getting in and out? Can you get enough people taking temperatures? It's really kind of daunting for the staff because our normal ushers are all volunteers and they're older. So we can't count on them to volunteer, So, it's finding the solutions to all these new challenges is what we're all facing. Yeah.
Yeah, and some challenges that people haven't thought of, because our the first thing conductors think of is, how are we going to put the orchestra on stage if we have to social distance? And maybe the first thought is like, the audience has to sit together if there's a big audience. But I don't think people think about that stuff that you just mentioned. There's an elevator. Some people can't get to their seats without the elevator. Will the ushers even come back? Likely, a lot of them won't.
Right.
So
Right. Yeah.
yeah. Well. Yeah, it's I don't know if you're tired of talking about it, but everyone's talking about COVID, and so I feel like on social media and in my private conversations with other conductors and artists, that it's just talked to death, but we never get tired of coming up with creative solutions, so people continue to talk about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's very true.
and what's your feeling on like just being patient and waiting, because conductors are prone to planning. That's what we do. I mean, organizations in general, an orchestra has to plan 24 months in advance for guest artists and booking dates and for marketing. And in this time period, we just all have to wait, because we just don't know what's coming. And even if you don't know what's coming in September, you can guess, well, in September, probably not gonna, whatever. What about in January? No idea, but we're planning for January anyway. And
Yeah.
So I'm curious, because I'm developing, if I'm going to take one good thing away from the pandemic, it's patience. I'm developing a new level of just chilling out and waiting.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm finding that we need to kind of know. And so what I'm advocating now is make those plans, make your best scenario plans, come up with a new 6-month plan, because everybody needs time to do their jobs, and everybody also needs to know where we're going so that they know what to work on, where to focus. And so I find planning actually very empowering, even in a situation where we're not sure. So we're putting together a 6-month plan with our best guess of where we hope we will be, being very conservative, really trying to make sure that expenses balance with possible income. And so we're looking at all of this, but what I'm finding in talking to our staff and our board is that everybody is just dying for a plan so they know how to go forward.
Right, some guidance, yeah.
Yeah, and so I think it's really critically important, now that we've been this long enough to we're kind of recognizing it's not going to end. We're going to, probably not be able to put more than 250 people in a space if we're even lucky to do that. So how then can you make this work with between maybe 20 people on stage, maybe 30, depending on your size of your stage? We're finding that most of our people want live concerts. The virtual is fun, but that's not really where they're gonna spend their time in the long run. And so we're trying to figure out, and most of our people like chamber music, but they didn't really sign on for chamber music. So we're trying to figure out what orchestral things we can do,
right,
within this confine, so that we can move forward,
Yeah, I see your orchestra in New Jersey has been doing a lot of chamber music, and did a concert on July 3rd, I think it was.
We did.
Yeah. So what was I mean, it seems to have gone well. What was your audience's response? Do you sense that people are saying, well, that's, like you said, that's not what I signed on for. I'm an orchestra supporter and this is chamber music, or are people excited about it?
Well, I think that one, you have to look at the whole scenario. Normally that orchestra does a big orchestral with chorus, concert outdoors, sponsored by the Parks and Recreation. So that concert got canceled, but they had this opportunity, because literally the concert was supposed to be on, June 28th, and the governor didn't really open anything to be able to happen until July 1st. Mm-hmm. So they had this opportunity on the live concert was actually July 2nd, with a field to do something. Mm-hmm. And we really felt that the safest thing would be a brass group for that. And so we put a brass group, and that was the first live performance. And I will tell you, it was really nice. We didn't get a huge crowd. We got maybe about 100 people spread out over a field. People brought their picnics. It was a beautiful evening. The brass group, it was very informal. They talked to the audience. And I think everybody really felt good about being able to go somewhere and hear the music. And so I really think it was a good first step. And we're looking at doing a similar type of thing in Allentown. You know, Allentown is known for a lot of band concerts in the summer.
Yeah.
And all the band concerts got officially canceled. But we do have, you know, nice band shells and parks. And so we're looking, you know, is there a void we can fill by creating something that's actually off our regular schedule? Yeah, so we're just looking at all the different options, and basically at some point you just, leadership is making decisions. And, you know, the leaders that don't go anywhere are the ones that are afraid to make a decision, and they sit there in limbo too long.
Yeah.
And I always was taught that, you know, you have always a 50% chance of being right. Right?
Sure.
So no matter what you decide, the important thing is to pick a plan, make a decision so that your team can all go forward.
Okay.
And then to stay on top of it. So if you have to adjust, and to be willing to make adjustments quickly if you need to make adjustments. Mm-hmm. But the first and foremost thing of leadership is making a decision and moving forward. Because otherwise nothing else can happen. Yes.
Yeah, I feel that personally, because I've had to make a couple of decisions like that. Specifically with my the band that I'm the commander of, the part-time Army band, National Guard Army band in New Mexico, and I had to make tough decisions, not with a void of information.
Yeah.
So that's the hard part, is when you have all the information. Sometimes the decision's hard because there's pros and cons to each way you go. But when you don't have any information, like when is the state opening, when will we be able to perform again? Can people travel from out of state to do this? Because a lot of my musicians come from outside the state. And right now in New Mexico, it's not a ban, but if you come to New Mexico, you have to self-quarantine for 14 days. Well, I can't have 14 days of duty if my soldiers arrive and immediately have to quarantine for 14 days. It's pointless. So I had to make really hard decisions, but I delayed a little bit, not too long. I don't think I paralyzed the organization, but for a day or two, I thought about it, and I could see people in email and text messages, people were getting crazy nervous. They just wanted some guidance, even if it was bad guidance.
Exactly. And then you're going to get blamed either way. So.
Well, the thing was, well, so are we doing this or not? What date are we doing it? Okay, we're doing it on this date, and yes, we're doing it. And then people were like, well, how am I supposed to get there? And I was like, oh, like I made the decision. Now there's more decisions to make. But yeah, I do appreciate, and hopefully your staff and the musicians you work with are very flexible and understanding. Everyone's suffering right now, especially freelance musicians, but the people in your life who accept your guidance and then say, I understand this could change on a moment's notice, and so I'm prepared to take new guidance going forward. That's really valuable right now.
Yeah, and we've tried to really involve the orchestra and had some Zoom calls with principal players with one orchestra, and my other orchestra, same thing. We've gone to the leadership of the orchestra committee, because all the rules are going to change in this time period. You know, our normal CBA, we're not going to be able to follow all of the guidelines, that we're going to have to be flexible if we're going to produce concerts with these restrictions. You know, so I think the most important thing is open lines of communication and making sure that you are communicating with the people, both your musicians and then also with your subscribers. So as we put our plan together, our box office people are planning on calling every single person that's purchased a ticket. You know, so it's not just you get an email of you know, here's the concerts, are you interested? It's a personal conversation to say, what's your situation? Do you want to roll your tickets into a future year? Do you want to go to these concerts that are different than what you originally bought, but that are going to be really great? How do you feel about going to a hall? Would you rather sign up for the live stream? Let's show you how to do that. So it's going to be a lot of hand holding.
Yeah.
But I look at that as a great opportunity to bond, because our subscribers are the people that they came up with their money early. I mean, we were at like 80% renewal by early March for next year. I mean, so these people love the symphony, and you know, so I view that as, you know, I'm so excited that the staff is willing to make those calls and really, talk to people, because longer term, that's, I think, going to put us in a much stronger position.
Well, here's hoping that those people who love the orchestra enough to renew early in the season also love the orchestra enough to either donate their tickets or in some other way, remain in support of the organization.
Yeah.
That's all we can hope for, really. So I'm curious what Diane, I know you medium well. Like, we've known each other for a long time. I wouldn't say we're very close personal friends, but I don't know what instrument you play.
Really? I play violin. I did my undergrad in violin, and then I also play viola now.
I thought it was violin or piano, but I wasn't sure. Okay, so then my question is, what are you doing personally to stay musical during this time? Are you practicing the violin? Do you still play the violin, or do you have some other way?
Yeah, I should be practicing the violin. And a couple of years ago, I started teaching and coaching chamber music. And at that point, I was really getting it out and playing through the repertoire and feeling really good about it. But I have to say, actually, I'm composing during this time period. In fact,
great.
Earlier today and yesterday, I'm one of those composers where I have to have blocks of time. I have difficulty, like if I'm working on a piece, I kind of live, breathe, sleep the piece. Mm-hmm. So I have difficulty putting it into days where I have a lot of what I call the other side of my brain work. But most of my concerts now that I was producing some virtual concerts and some things and planning, that's kind of settling down now. So I'm really feeling like I can take some time. So I am working. I rewrote earlier a piece of mine that I've been meaning to rewrite for years, finished that up. And now I'm working on another piece that I've been wanting to write for a while. And my goal is to have this one. This is a 9-minute, it's a movement that can be played separately or can be played as it's part of a larger 4-movement, larger work that will be, about a 35-minute work. But this is an 8 to 9 minute piece, actually called Summer Sun, for chamber orchestra. Oh, beautiful. And
it should be pretty useful in the next couple of months.
I think it might be, actually. And I've got a colleague of mine that has a new music group that's been wanting me to write a piece for him for quite a long time. And I thought, well, maybe he can do the premiere of it. But yeah, so it's kind of, I'm actually just trying to write a beautiful, peaceful piece that just kind of flows with no stress and just, kind of like a pavane for the Dead Princess, or one of those just beautiful, or Fauré's pavane, where there's just beautiful moments. And so that's what I'm doing, and I think that feeds my creative spirit and connects me back to the music. Good.
Yeah, found time. Well, conductors, especially you're so busy. You're always doing something, and you travel a lot. So I imagine that you have very little time to just do pet projects or things that you have wanted to do and study that score you've always been meaning to study if you don't need to. And this found time is an interesting way for us to catch up on the hobbies and interests that we had, or the professional things that we just don't have time to do. I'm doing a lot of writing, not composing, but writing words. So
well, yeah, because you have a book out.
Yeah, I do, and I'm working on some other stuff too right now. So just doing a lot of research and writing, and I'm practicing guitar. I wouldn't say a lot, but a lot more than I have for the last 20 years. So getting it out and going through it.
Wow,
good stuff. Makes you think about staying musical in a time when you can't be in front of an audience or when you can't work with other musicians. Makes you really go inside and seek out the impetus for the whole thing. Why did I become a musician? What's the point? What are we doing this for? And I think people need it. So when things open up again, they'll be hungry for what we have to offer.
Yeah, because I do feel that all of us were kind of on a treadmill before. Anyone that was really working and making a living in music, you're running around doing so many things. The musicians are playing in multiple orchestras. They've got rehearsals every night. And this sort of luxury of having weekends off and evenings where you don't have rehearsals, it's refreshing. It's a little scary, but it's very refreshing.
Yeah. One of my friends, we were chatting recently, And he said, he's been a conductor for a long time. You know who this person is, by the way, but he said, you know, for like 30 years, I wondered what it's like to have nights and weekends off. And now I know it's pretty nice.
Yeah.
um, because even, you know, if people who are actually busy and doing stuff and successful, they just don't ever have a night or a weekend off. It's very rare. And if you do have a night off, you know, there's always a score to study or some donor to call or something like that. And so it's nice. And I'm also enjoying not so much having a bunch of downtime because I've filled the times, I think, but it's not overfilled. And I'm used to running at 110%, you know, the needle on red. That's just how I've been going since, you know, since the year 2000, basically. And now I'm running like in the green. I'm quite busy, but not over busy. It's just right. And I'm sleeping and it's amazing.
Yeah. Everybody's getting 8 hours of sleep because.
I haven't slept 8 hours for like 5 nights in a row since 20 years ago. And
yeah.
in June, I've slept 8 hours almost every night. And it's amazing. I feel like $1,000,000. It's kind of a lesson, actually.
Yeah. And people are going walking. People are outside. They're exercising. They're going hiking. Yeah, I think overall it's sort of like a reset button.
Yeah.
And I'm curious when we go, if this lasts a long time, I think when we go back, people are actually going to be making life choices that maybe they don't want to rev up to 120 miles per hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that huge stress that we were all under.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
I badly want things to open up and for everything to get back to normal. Not for artistic reasons, but mostly just because of all the people that you and I know that are suffering and who are out of work. And I just want to see everything get back to normal as quickly as possible. That said, when things get back to normal, I think I'm gonna dive into this pool a little bit more slowly than I would have otherwise. I'm gonna make wiser life decisions too. Maybe not overbook myself because I'm really enjoying being busy, but not too busy.
Right. But it is, you know, we thrive on getting that call of something new and interesting to do, you know?
Yeah, that's true. And it's like conductors are like sharks. Like you eat something and then you're like, what else can I eat? I need to eat one more thing. And so having one job isn't enough. You always need 7 jobs or something. But we somehow find lots of ways to stay busy, hopefully. I know that you're a busy person, and so I don't want to keep you all day, but I'm really happy you could stop and have coffee with me today.
Oh, no, it's great. It's great.
All right. Well, let's stay in touch, shall we?
Definitely.
Okay. Have a good day.
All right.